Thank you. We have time for a couple of questions.
In the background, and it's rising, obviously, and people are seeing gas prices rise. Now we're seeing a looming threat of Russian cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, water, the grid, electricity. I'm told it could look like a colonial pipeline ransomware attack last year. We saw what happened with that. Do any of you believe the president, when he came out yesterday and said, we are prepared? Do you believe we're prepared?
When you said we are prepared, what are you referring to?
For a cyber attack on
For a cyber attack.
critical infrastructure.
I know I'm not one of those who sits on the committee. Rob, can you answer that question? Well, I don't know that I can answer whether we are prepared.
I mean, we are better prepared than we have been in the past, but we're not well prepared. And you may know there's legislation currently pending on the floor of the Senate. It combines 3 different bills to harden our ability to respond to cyber attacks in critical infrastructure, governmental side, as well as in the private sector side. And it would help with regard to a colonial pipeline type situation. So we need to do more. We have legislation to do that. It's bipartisan. It's come through the Homeland Security Committee. And my hope is we can enact that in the next couple of weeks, particularly with this looming threat. The possibility that Russia could make a huge mistake and actually invade Ukraine again, and that sanctions would then be put in place, which I strongly support, and those sanctions need to be devastating, and then cyber attacks could even be increased. I will say, though, that it's already happening. We know that Russian-backed groups were responsible for a colonial pipeline, as an example. We know that Russian-backed groups are today attacking Ukraine consistently, and there were attacks yesterday on governmental websites, as an example. So it's already happening, the so-called hybrid war.
I'll just, from my perspective, be a little more direct on that. I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready. And we need to be ready. And then the other issue that Putin uses as a weapon, which we're all very familiar with, is energy. And that's, again, why this challenge that we have before us with regard to an aggressive authoritarian who uses energy as a weapon, and we're unilaterally disarming in the energy realm. Again, it makes no sense whatsoever. One of the best ways we can thwart Putin's use of energy as a weapon against our NATO allies is actually produce more energy that we can supply to them. Everybody agrees with that, except for a few far left individuals in the White House who somehow came in and won the debate about let's unilaterally disarm on American energy. Last week, I raised this issue with the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the National Security Advisor. What are you guys doing? What are you doing? Why would we unilaterally disarm the production of American energy? It doesn't help the environment. It only empowers our adversaries. They don't have a good question. I would love it if you guys could ask them that more, because it makes no sense.
Senator Craig,
Yeah.
do you have any concern that the holdup of Federal Reserve nominees could affect the way the Fed tackles inflation?
No, I've heard that argument put out. The fact is the Fed is fully operational right now. The fact, they've already shown that they have the capacity to deal with these issues. And we have really serious issues with some of the nominees that have been put forward that need to be vetted.
On the Fed's inflation approach, do you think it's aggressive enough what they've said so far they intend to do this year?
I think it's helpful. I'm not sure I can tell you that it's enough. But it's unfortunate that we are in a position that we have to rely on the Fed and the utilization of interest rates, frankly, to deal with this crisis. The better way to deal with the crisis, in addition to the Fed's help in terms of an emergency response, is for us to deal with some of these supply and demand issues that we've talked about here as well. So that really the message needs to be, yes, the Fed's operational, and yes, we need the Fed's help right now. But that is not the panacea to the solution to this issue. The solution to this issue is to deal with the unbelievable demand pressures that this administration is putting on in terms of the reckless spending that they are engaging in, and to deal with the damage to our supply chains and to our supply side of our economy, and help us get back into the game.
I'm going to make one comment on that. I think it will actually be unhelpful if somehow in the next few months or weeks that the Federal Reserve is has governors who are confirmed, and there's a big debate, there's a number of them up right now, governors who are confirmed who have said that they believe the Fed's mandate extends beyond the statutory mandate given to them by Congress, which is focus on price stability and employment. The Fed's mandate from the United States Congress has nothing to do with choking energy investment to energy companies, production of energy, climate change, has nothing to do with that. And it gets a lot more dangerous for the independence of the Fed, but for inflation, if Fed governors are going to come on the board of the Fed thinking they have that mandate to further negatively impact energy markets, that will not help inflation at all.
Before you go, we're going to go here, but let me just say one more thing. You've prompted a thought. Does everybody in here remember Operation Choke Point? A few years back under the Obama administration, when their goal was to utilize our our financial sector regulators to choke off so-called unacceptable industries from access to financing. That's what we're talking about right now. The battle over the Fed nominees right now is a battle over whether we want to introduce choke point politics into the Federal Reserve. And I'll say again, the Federal Reserve can operate, it is operating, and there is no threat from that. The threat comes from the changes to the Federal Reserve that the President is proposing with his new nominees.
Thanks, sir.
Yes.
I wanted to ask if you guys see potentially pausing the gas tax as a way to help with some of this inflation, to ease some of it?
Well, I'd say that each member of the Republican caucus probably could respond to that on their own. I don't know that there's a unanimous feeling, but my response is that trying to eliminate the gas tax is basically a gimmick. The price of gas is $1 higher. If you eliminated the gas tax, you would reduce 18 cents of that dollar, so there would be a step there. But what you would create is a greater amount of debt in the United States and a greater inability for us to finance our infrastructure. And financing our infrastructure is critical. Infrastructure spending is counter-inflationary. It is supply-side spending. And so they're going at the ability to finance the very kind of supply-side spending that could be helpful. So I personally think it's a bad idea, but I also think, frankly, it's just a gimmick.
Can I add to that? It's just, look at the context in which that bill has come up. Look at who introduced it. 4 very vulnerable U.S. senators who are all up for election right now. Why are they doing that? Because they're going home, like all of us, and they're hearing about the high costs of energy. They're hearing that. We're all hearing that. The way to deal with it is to support American energy production. They don't want to do that. The far left doesn't like that. This White House doesn't like that. So here's what they do. They show the bill they introduced and said, here's my plan. I'm really serious about this. It's a gimmick. It's political window dressing. That's all it is. And the notion that somehow that's going to fix it, fixing the energy costs, as many said here, these are self-inflicted wounds. We know it, we've seen it, and that is just political window dressing from some vulnerable U.S. senators who want to have something to cling to, but what they should cling to is convincing the White House to support American energy production. That's what they need to do.
Agreed. We have time for just one more question. We've got votes underway right now, so.
I was just
Oh,
wondering, do you think that the CHIPS Act will be able to address inflation? The White House has been saying that this will address inflation, especially with cars and other products.
I definitely believe the CHIPS Act is needed. We need to get much more aggressively back in the game in our semiconductor production in the United States. And I do believe it would be a helpful step in terms of dealing with the issues we've raised today. It's not, again, the only step, but it's in that sector of our economy, which is critical. There are semiconductors in everything, almost everything that Americans use. We need to be back in the game, and we need to be aggressively pushing for that. So yes, I think it's a good step. It's also one where we do have bipartisan support, and so I hope that we'll be able to get that enacted into law soon.
Really quickly, the Biden HHS has asked for $30 billion more for COVID relief. Do you think that is acceptable at this point?
I certainly don't, for a couple of reasons. the Biden administration continue, even though Build Back Better did not get the sufficient votes to move on the floor, the reports that I'm reading from all of you say that they're just trying to break it down into pieces now so that they can figure out how to just drill down harder and harder on the spending. And I believe that we have put so much money into this that the effort to continue drilling down on increased spending is not the appropriate response. And I want to conclude by reading the exact words of Larry Summers, which have been referenced by a number of my colleagues here today. This is what he said when we were debating the passage of ARPA, the $1.9 trillion COVID spending bill, so-called COVID spending bill, that was put forward. And these are his words. It is the least responsible macroeconomic policy we have had in the last 40 years. He followed that up in February of 2021 in a Washington Post op-ed. And again, quoting him, there is a chance that macroeconomic stimulus on a scale closer to World War II than normal recession levels will set off inflationary pressures of a kind we have not seen in a generation. Now, how prescient was that? That's what we're talking about. And your question related to an effort to peel a piece of that off and start going at it again because they couldn't get the entire reckless spending bill in the last effort.